Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Community Matters and Town Assets Committee meeting. It's Wednesday, 27th of August, and time is 7:30. Let's do the little housekeeping first. So we're not expecting any fire alarms, so if anything does tinkle, then please leave the building. We've got fire exit down there. I think everybody that's in the building should know exactly where it is. So down there and across the car park where we will muster and be counted. Apologies for absence. We've only got the one. Everybody else is present and correct. So I can vote for that. And for Mariam. Mariam, sorry. Yeah, I know. Nobody else knows. Yeah, is that Janet? And then all in favour? Or everybody else? Excellent. Declarations of councillors' interests and any requests for dispensation?
None that I'm aware of.
No.
None that I'm aware of.
None I'm aware of.
None that I'm aware of. None that I'm aware of.
And only just to know, I know we've got the devolution item coming up, and I'm still a plot holder at Beach Hill, which I donate to Portishead Youth Centre. So just tenuous link, but declared nonetheless. Okay, so item number 4, we'll go on to the chairman update report. So a couple of things just to run through this time. We've received a note of thanks, obviously, from Portishead Football Club to the Town Council for the eviction of the travellers off the site there. I think we were all hopefully thankful that it was resolved as quickly as it was. And yeah, the matter will come up to another agenda point item later on, but it was handled sort of in the best and safest manner that we could have done. So yeah, just a note of thanks that was sent from PTFC there, and linked to, but prior to that also this is a note of thanks for Turn the Tide and also the residents of Bristol Road. I think myself, David Gunnell, and Mike as well, sort of cleaning up after the travellers down at Kilkenny Fields as well. But I think thankful really, I guess, to all of the residents coming together and making the site clean and safe for use as quickly as it was, and let the least disruption really, I guess, to the football club as possible to allow them to continue playing their matches too. 4.3 is, yeah, of course you can.
Could I just add, I think we should thank North Somerset Council as well, because they basically had to come in and repair the spring and the bit that had been damaged as well, so quite badly. So, and they've obviously put some new posts in and stuff, so they reacted very quickly to make Kilkenny safer and also sort out the spring and obviously the water flow to the lake. Okay.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. 4.3 is the report from Wellspring Counselling. This was a grant award which was made last year, so that was £9,500 that we were able to donate out of the cost of living fund during the last council sort of accounting period. I don't know if anybody's had time to read that through, but there was obviously a lot of counselling sessions that were delivered to Portishead residents, 89 specific residents in total, plus obviously they delivered a lot more sort of sessions along with that as well. And I know we'll come to our communication report as well, but there was a note in regards to their early intervention service that they're currently running for young people as well. It's called the listening service. And there was it's in recognition of a higher than average likelihood of teenagers in our area specifically to require hospitalisation than the average across England as well. So I think it might be well to note that later, but I've got it in to catch up on our later agenda point as well. And then hot off the press, this email came into us yesterday regarding the Severn Estuary Big Clean. So in essence, what it's run by a group within Cardiff University, because obviously Severn Estuary both sides of the river, and it's a period, the 19th to the 28th of September, where you can get involved with actually sort of picking rubbish, litter clearing, and all sorts of other things alongside the estuary side. So what they're looking for people to do is to email them with the location that people are intending to actually litter pick at, date, time, and the duration. And there's a survey that people can complete afterwards with the types of rubbish that they've picked up, just to sort of get a, an idea of any, the way really, I guess, the rubbish is going.
Can we ask Turn the Tide if they would, I don't know if they're aware of it, whether they might want to participate?
I think I asked Mary Ann, and I saw Nikki today as well. So I think Nikki's going to contact Turn the Tide as well as Mary Ann. And what we wondered was whether, if Turn the Tide were doing it, some of the councillors could join them and we could have a sort of, 3 hours of concerted effort.
I saw David's hand in the back up as well, if you wanted to. The big cleans at the end of the month, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do a roundup of that and just make sure that we're all tied up. Cool. Okay, so yeah, again, we'll probably add that as our communication, or to the communication plan later on as well. So that's all good. Okay, so minutes of previous meeting. I've had a look through. Everything seems in order to me. Has anybody else managed to have a check through? Yep. So, Mike, do you want to? I'll propose if you want to second, and then everybody that was present, if in favour.
Okay.
Yep. Excelente. I'll remember to squiggle on those at the end. Public participation. So we've got a member of public on online, and we've got our two councillors present. I don't know if Mike or David, if there's anything that you want to particularly feedback on. Is Lauren with us? Hello, Lauren. Just checking if there's anything before the agenda item, if there was anything that you wanted to mention at all.
No, nothing really. I'm obviously here to talk about Great Western Air Ambulance. So happy to jump in and speak whenever you need me to.
Yeah, no problem. We won't be long, and then we'll be with you.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay. So item number 7/8 in terms of where we are then. So we come to the grant application. So I wasn't present during this this sort of the conversation that went through the grants working party, although I would have been completely sort of alongside the decision that was made here. So the consideration is the grant application of £2,200 from the Great Western Air Ambulance Charity, and that cost just supports just one mission. So the funding that they need is constant, and it keeps on growing year on year. So the one mission, in terms of what we're funding here, could mean the difference between life and death for somebody in our community itself. The Grants Working Party recommend that the grant of £2,200 be awarded. So just before we go to the vote, shall I come back to you if there's anything else that you want to sort of add to, or just sort of to run through?
No, I think you've covered everything that I had written down, to be honest.
Excellent. Okay, so let's without further
Lauren, could you just explain to the council what your path is in the organisation?
Yes, of course. So I work as part of the supporter engagement team. So I work a lot with local parish and town councils and individual fundraisers, just to sort of have that sort of working relationship with them, support fundraisers that want to raise money for us, try and build up a working relationship with people like yourselves, just so that we can get ourselves known within the community, really. And I'll probably be your sort of first port of call when you come into the charity side of it. But I do a lot of sort of arranging of, you know, just getting people to see the work that we do. So it would be really nice if maybe we could get you guys up to visit the airbase and see the work that we actually do.
I think myself.
Thanks, Lauren.
Myself and Mike were able to visit last year as well, just before the previous grant award. So yeah, I mean, it's utterly fantastic work, really. I guess that's needed, and obviously just to mention as well, we've got the new shop which has been open on the high street now for a couple of months. A welcome addition, really, I guess, in that sense to your fundraising activities as well. So
definitely, yeah, we've had such a positive response from the Portishead shop, which is amazing. So hopefully that continues, and yeah, if we can work with the shop and yourselves, that would be amazing.
Yeah, no, excellent. Okay, so without further ado, I can propose if we have a seconder. Yep, Martin was there with his finger on the button, and if we can make a vote. Yep, that's unanimous. Fantastic. So thank you, Lauren, and thank you for thanks for the whole team for the work that you do, really.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. I look forward to working with you and hopefully getting you all up to the airbase if you want to.
Here we are. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so item number 9 is a update on the devolution project. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to Paul and to Mike.
I might reiterate a couple of things.
Or contradict me, whatever.
Yeah, or contradict. Yeah.
I'm waiting for my lovely assistant that's got the. Okay, thank you. Okay, next slide. Yeah. Okay, so we've got so a few slides on the consultation results. So we've got a summary of that, and then yeah, some basically where are we, what are the assets we're talking about, and we have some principles as well, which I'll just talk about. Okay, right. So the demographics. So you can see there was a spread of ages. We did manage to get a few young people, but not that many. You can see the bulk of responses are from people aged sort of 35 through to kind of 74. Probably not surprisingly, given they're probably more invested in the town and facilities, but obviously it's always hard to get the younger people. We got some. So employment status, interestingly, there's slightly more working people than retired. So we've got a mix anyway, which is good. Obviously, what's your connection to the area? Most people live here, but obviously there's some who work here and other contacts. So I did meet a few of those and said, I know you're from Nailsea, but if you're obviously using the facilities here today, so please fill in the survey. And then we asked who had children or not, and it was 58% no and 43% yes, just to give an idea. All right. So I guess the summary was we've got a reasonable mix. There are 656 responses, which is, a lot more than none. So yeah, go on. Yeah.
Some of the residents have actually said that the 656 seems a very small proportion of the population of the town. And how did we compare to other people of a similar age as a percentage?
So it's a good response. I mean, obviously you'd like more, but for a survey like this, it's a good response. So we're obviously using the Commonplace platform, and when you compare it with other similar surveys that get done, it's a good response. Probably like at least 50% more than most people. I don't know, Steve, do you want to add that?
Yeah, I regularly do consultations for town and parish councils. I'm always delighted if I get 400. So to get well over 600 is good. The highest I've ever had, I think, is 1,100, and that was a huge place called Chippenham. So yeah, that was a big one. But yeah, I think that's pretty typical response. Yeah.
I mean. Okay. So out of the responses, we asked the question: Do you agree with assets being handed over to or transferred rather to Portishead Town Council? So 80% of people were positive, 11.6% were neutral. Most of those were kind of concerned about how much it's going to cost and how's it going to work, which is fair enough. And 8.5% were negative. So, okay. So, given it was clear that it was going to cost more money for people, that was a pretty positive response. So, okay. So, I've got another slide. This is a really busy slide, but basically, the lake grounds came out as a top priority. Portishead Library came up on some counts. It came up very highly, but there's a lot. It was a very mixed response regarding the library. Some people had the, why do we need a library? I'll just get my books off Amazon, you know. So there's probably not everyone understands the full services that the library offers. Would be my take on it. Or obviously parks and green spaces, community events are all popular. The blue line at the bottom, that was a question we did also ask, well, would you rather just spend less on services? So that was the least popular response. So actually, so people clearly value the assets and services in the town. Okay, carry on. Yeah, go on, Bob. Yeah.
It's just we're concerned with the libraries. I think people need to be aware that when the consultation went out, obviously North Somerset mentioned about the closure of libraries. So in some ways, it could be a concern at the time that they were suspecting that the Portishead Library would be shut. So it could have affected that part of the consultation.
Possibly, yeah, possibly. So we basically asked people. We gave some sort of guidance in terms of figures, and then this slide sort of shows where people would invest. So the biggest bar is the lake grounds, followed by parks and green spaces, play areas, and there's a lot sort of bubbling around about the same amount. So, but if you just go on to the next slide, hopefully the new ones come in. Okay, right. So this is probably a better way of describing it. So we asked two questions. First of all, we said, what are your priorities without any sort of money involved? And basically, they're ranked in that order, and the magnitude of the ranking is the size of the, how tall the bar chart is. I didn't explain that very well, but obviously the lake grounds has got the tallest bar chart, so that had the most priority at that level. It was followed by parks and green spaces, a new AV system for the focal, that was quite high. Community events was third, then grants. You can see grants and litter and dog bins quite similar. Right at the bottom was spend less on services, but you see the library was okay. It was similar. It was lower priority compared with when we asked people to rank where would you spend your money amongst all those things. So so there's a spread, but there's obviously a priority list there. So we asked the question, what are your priorities? But then we also asked the question, where would you spend your money? Because obviously we was interested to see whether people might change their priorities if there was money involved. So there we go. It's also, but also we did give some guidance. So you can see with the lake grounds, we said it's probably going to cost £20 to £30, and people, in total, on an average, people put in £30.71. So they actually went above the top. Parks and green spaces 25 to 30, although it came second, it was slightly lower than the guidance we gave. Play areas, again, slightly lower. The library, 20 to 25, but people only want to spend £15.97 on average. This is out of the £150. We gave them all £150, I should have said. So this is out of the £150 that you currently pay in your local precinct. How much would you spend? Public safety, people actually put in more money there. So that's £13.80. The guidance was 5 to 10. Grants to support residents and community groups, £12.76. The guidance was £15 to £20. So quite a few comments about, why are we giving grants to people? Which I was surprised about. I would suggest that a lot of people are not recipients of grants. They don't realise exactly how valuable grants are. So maybe that's something we need to publicise. Meeting places, so that's the hall, Somerset Hall. We said 10 to 20, and then went for £12. So that was again towards the bottom end. Litter and dog bins 5 to 10, it's come out at £11.73. So although over here it was a fairly low priority, people actually wanted to spend a bit more money on it than we'd given the place.
There's too many dogs in Ports.
Yes. Community events surprisingly came last. We said £5 to £10, but they put in £10.68, so it was slightly more. So there was a theme about people saying, while we're paying for community events, they should run them out on a commercial basis. So I don't think that's, I mean, given that what we normally do, like we did with the carnival, we gave them some seed funding to get them started. I mean, I think what we're doing is effectively what people expect us to do. They're not expecting us to run or pay for community events. They're expecting us to encourage them. I think that was how I read it. So, hope it gives you a bit more kind of flavour to the results. Go on, Janet. Yeah.
Lake grounds, parks and green spaces, surely they could be put together. Parks and green spaces can be linked together in one package, really, can't they?
They could be, but we didn't do that.
And sorry, parks and green spaces and the lake grounds.
Okay, but basically we separated out because obviously the lake grounds is the marquee park and it's got a lot of other kind of facilities as opposed to Merlin Park, which is a field and a play area. So that's why it's separated out. It's a different beast. Okay, so all right, moving on. Where are we? How can I summarise? The negotiations are extremely painful. Be the best way, the politest way to put it. Basically, North Somerset as a position, they've factored in lots of cost savings already. So they're basically saying we're not going to spend a bean on play areas in the future. So it's impossible to save money for them on play areas because they've already baked in the savings, although no one's ever agreed to take anything on. So they've got, and in my view, they've got a myopic view about how to create a business case. But also they have tried to, again, I'll try and be polite. They tried to put a document in front of us which effectively said, "Here's a framework, and North Somerset will decide what to do. We'll tell you how much you're going to pay." And we're doing you a massive favour by handing all these things over to you. If I paraphrase it, I'm being slightly unfair, but it wasn't.
The only thing I'd add, if it was very income generating, we might not pass it.
Yeah. So anyway, this caused a furore amongst all the towns and parishes. So we got a meeting together of Weston, Nailsea, and who else is there? Weston, now Yatton. Alca representing all of the parishes.
From Clevedon.
So the only council that wasn't represented was Clevedon. Okay, although I did have a call from one of their councillors earlier today, so we may get them on board as well. So basically, we all said this is not acceptable. So we've written back to them and sent them our own principles, which are based on sort of fairness and collaboration. And a bit old-fashioned, I know, but we thought it might work. So. And that has caused them to, so the paper they presented, which was going to the Cabinet on the 10th of September, is no longer going to the Cabinet. And Mike Bell is now apparently going to be the decision maker for all this. So we have a chance of talking to someone who's got a helicopter view of the strategy, and we can have a sensible conversation rather than an officer who's, I guess, trying to do their job and then just trying to get the cost out of their budget, which is kind of,
Excuse me, are they trying to save their job?
Yeah. Anyway, there is that as well. But anyway, we are on one hand, there's a lot of difficulty. On the other hand, we have had some openness in terms of some costs have finally appeared, and we are expecting a map of all of the assets. Although it was promised 3 weeks ago, we are promised that. So people often ask me what's my confidence level in this, and it goes up and down like a yo-yo, to be honest. So we don't know. I suspect we're going to end up in a few weeks' time going to Mike Bell with our offer and saying this is what we can cope with, because we have to basically, because unfortunately North Somerset have not been able to invest in these facilities for like 20 years. They're all obviously got maintenance issues. Yeah. So, and I'm sure, but my view is, but we don't want to take on something that's a mess without the funds to do something about it, because then we're just moving a problem from one place to another, so that would be pointless. So we obviously need to have enough headroom in terms of the finances to be able to improve the assets over time whilst taking them off North Somerset. So that's what we're trying to achieve. So, all right, so it's a bit rocky. We know what we'd like to achieve, and I think it's fairly reasonable, but at the moment we're trying to navigate the North Somerset. Did you want to add anything, Steve?
The meeting with the other town councils was really positive, and there was an agreement in principle reached that we would share legal costs, which I think is an incredible step forward, because it's very rare to find that level of collaboration between town councils. So that means that I think in the next step we'll be able to initiate some legal work and be able to present a draft legal document to North Somerset, which I think will take a sort of a bold step and push them into reacting to that, which I think is important, because at the moment we're on the back foot a bit, and I think that will be a positive step forward.
Yeah, I think that's one of the that was one of the outcomes. Everyone said, look, because we've kind of been waiting for North Somerset to do stuff, and we're just like, we're fed up waiting now. We need to basically sort of take the lead. So we all got together and said, well, we'll now force the pace and so that's the way we're doing it. Bob.
You're talking about legal challenges. Is that a case? Have you, Weston, and Nowsy, thought of outside the box, or how you would challenge anything if this carries on? Obviously, we're well aware of the Roaf Road parking facility is now going ahead, which now leaves the rest of it in this limbo format. And what worries me is we're just going to keep challenging North Somerset constantly and not moving forward. So is there another way that we can attack or formulate a plan to against North Somerset to move and take action on our requirements?
Yeah, we've been doing that all the way through, basically. They keep putting up objections, so we keep removing them. Yeah, go on.
Mike Bell really seems to have pushed politically for the town councils to take these assets on, in which there is potential budget savings for them going forward. And I think it also fits the political agenda of devolving power to communities, which is good, and which we can collaborate on. But my feeling is that the officers have sort of come to this late and reluctantly. Some of them may have personal reasons why they're not invested in it. For example, they had this, got the name of the company that they've created, the offshore NSET sort of environmental company, which might not take on contracts. Some of them, have invested a lot personally in this kind of structure, and now it's like the structure's suddenly going to change and all this will go out. So I can understand the ambivalence. And the other thing is just capacity. There isn't a lot of capacity within North Somerset Council to respond. I don't want to use it as an excuse, but you can see that. And my feeling is our biggest card is Mike Bell, actually, that he wants to see it happen politically.
Sorry, I turned you.
Whilst we're talking about it, I think where we started with this was when North Somerset was short of money. They're always short of money, but when they were desperately short of money last year, and the cabinet, or the exec as it was at the time, wasn't it, said to all of the different directorates, you need to bring forward ideas to save money. And this was one of the ideas that the officers brought forwards. So they did bring it forwards. I have a suspicious feeling that what they brought forward may not be what we expected it to be, or what we want is not what was in their minds, hence the issues that we had at the beginning of this process, because they had a totally different idea as to the way this was going to work. So it's a clash of the the way that people want to do things. They had this idea that they are in charge of everything and we'll just pay for it. And we had this idea that if we're paying for it, we need to be in charge of it. So there was political weight thrown behind it. The cabinet or the executive at the time all agreed that this should go in, but what we didn't agree on was any form of strategy to deal with that, which is why we now have a framework document going forwards. But yeah, I think the problems that we're seeing now are because the officers had a different idea of what the outcome would be to what we've got.
So they basically wanted to devolve the costs.
Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to put it, isn't it? And I think they were told in no uncertain terms from the beginning of this that wasn't going to be the way. Unfortunately, you're right. We do have political support. Mike Bell, the leader of the council, is behind this, and to a certain extent, he's behind what the town and parishes want as well. So I think eventually we will get the right outcome, but I just think it's going to take some time and probably be really frustrating all the way through.
I would say so. Yeah, I would agree with that.
You mentioned that they've already budgeted out certain costs for certain services, so things that there is a timeline on where things are not going to be maintained henceforth. So do we know exactly what those things are? Are they play areas? Are they verges?
So play areas. So there are 15 play areas managed by North Somerset in Portishead. So yeah, they're basically saying they're not going to spend a bean on it except doing the statutory inspections. And if a piece of equipment breaks, they're just going to take it away.
Right.
That's what they said. And they've basically baked those savings into this current year's budget, although they've not handed them over. So obviously we can't save any money out of their budget because they have no budget for it. So,
but in effect, there's degradation of the facilities, or there could be, depending on vandalism, breakage, or just
it's bound wear and tear. It's bound to be, isn't it? So I think they called it managed decline. I think they called it. Yeah, so the play areas is the main ones, but even most of the other assets they spend some money on. But obviously it's purely reactive maintenance. It's not the fault of the officers. It's just they haven't had the money for years. So, so therefore when you only do reactive maintenance, I mean, if we use an example, I think Alan went to have a look around Kilkenny Fields after the Travellers had gone. North Somerset had put in 2 new posts, but then he walked 5 yards and then sort of wobbled half a dozen others, and he could build 3 of them out the ground. So, so they just went and fixed the broken posts. So we're going to see a lot of that. So therefore it's just the way that, because they're not enough cash to do it. So,
but it's just worth us, I'm not saying publicise that, but it's information that we need to share, because there will be a managed decline of the facilities and the services that we do have already, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we have done some publicity around that along with the consultation, and we did make it clear to people that it was a bit of a Hobson's choice. If we do nothing, well, things will just get worse. So, to Bob's point, I mean, there are various things we have done to try and sort of move blockers. I mean, they do talk about, there's all this legal work, but there are 400 pieces of land in Portishead if you include all the grass verges, but it's not within the wit of a lawyer to basically write a short document that says we're going to transfer the land to you, and here's a list of the 400. It can be done. They want to do it one at a time, which is obviously massively complicated. But given that it's all public land, it has been public land for many years, we can just argue that the risk to them is, well, it's almost non-existent, because we're taking the risk, not them. So why are they complaining about all the legal work they've got to do? So there are various, you say think of outside the box. There are various ways that we can make this happen, but obviously you've got to have some willing people on the other end.
Let's come to Janet and then Roger. Did you have your hand up? No.
I'll go out.
Yep.
Why can't we thus look at it in a piecemeal way, and for the 15 play areas because they are going to be managed decline, and they've already said they're not going to spend any money on those, can we say, okay, can we first take over the 15 play areas and just get them first, and then and as things come up, take them over?
No, we mustn't do that. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but basically, if we do that, we play into their hands, and we lose our negotiation position. Because what they want to do is just throw us all the cost liability ones, and then we'll just be in, and we'll suddenly one day we'll go, oh, okay, what about that lake grounds where actually there's a small income? Oh, you can't have that anymore. Okay, this is what happens in commercial negotiations. And I have to say, given the behaviour of the certain senior officers, I wouldn't trust them farther than I could throw them. So I'm saying,
it's a basket in effect. Roger, and then Bob.
Yeah, what I was going to say is that, as you know, I've been on North Somerset Council for a couple of years now, and I really don't understand why it is that North Somerset Council runs some of these services in Portishead. So we've got play areas that we run as Portishead Town Council, and then North Somerset have got ones that they run, and then there are ones that are yet to be adopted that are sort of run by North Somerset and or run by the people who built them. And I always thought, maybe naively, that the town council was here to run the stuff in the town. So there's flower beds around the town and fields and stuff that are owned by North Somerset, which I always thought would have been owned by Portishead. And I honestly think that the people of Portishead think that all these things are owned. And that's probably why we get so many phone calls in the office about stuff that we don't actually own. Yeah. So it seems a very strange situation that this doesn't fall under Portishead Town Council or Clevedon or Nailsea or Long Ashton or one of the others. And I think if you started from scratch and you went, oh, let's design who looks after what, you'd start at the bottom, wouldn't you? And you go, well, this is the town, and this is the bit that makes sense for the town to look after, and this is the wider area, and this is what makes sense for North Somerset. So it feels like all we're doing here is putting straight something that went wrong many years ago when they got rid of Portishead Urban District Council, gave it all to Woodspring, Avon, and then back to North Somerset. And it just feels like we're going back round to the beginning of the circle, where I honestly think it worked better when it was Portishead Urban District Council, because it was dealt with locally. And when you start dealing with stuff so many miles away down in Weston, you've got officers who maybe don't know the area. It just doesn't get the care that it would get if it was in Portishead.
Yeah, or simple cost efficiencies of services that you're purchasing to utilise right next door. So there's Bob, Janet, Paul, and then we'll probably fetch the item.
Yeah, I was just going to say I totally agree with Roger, and yeah, it does seem absolutely crazy why we're not running these services ourselves. I've looked at other towns. Thornbury is a perfect example. When you look at this, when you look how they do it, and what's happening here, you just think it's absolutely crazy. Yeah, we should return back to it. But the trouble is the town, we are as councillors, we are like piggy in the middle at the moment. We've got North Somerset one side and the public the other side. Like Roger says, some of the public, I don't think, understand what's ours and what's not ours, and it is confusing. It's especially when you go on social media and someone puts council, and you think, well, is that town council or North Somerset Council? And you know, we need to help and pass that knowledge on to the town as we go through this process to make them understand. And I think the points and the presentation that Paul's done today is particularly good, and we should get that out to the public as soon as possible.
Yeah. There's a lot of misconceptions about paying twice for things as well, which people really not necessarily understanding where the amount of money, you know, through adult and child services in North Somerset does actually go, and what's statutory and what is really, you know, as I say, a nice to have, but some things that people are reliant upon as well. Janet?
I was basically going to say what Roger was going to say, but I think the issue is that people don't necessarily understand even the word statutory. And I think that we really do need to get it down to basics. This is what North Somerset is responsible for by law. This is what they're not responsible for by law, and we need to have a list. You know, they're not responsible for the lake grounds by law.
Yeah. Oh, should we? Oh.
Can I just say, sorry, on that exact note, I believe the list is about 1,000 things that they're responsible for. So it's not an easily disseminated list. There's a massive number of services that North Somerset do, massive.
There was one final slide. There's a list, but it might be different. So there's a lot of play areas, and there are something like 400 bits of grass verge and other things. And move on to the next slide, I think. I won't go through these now, but for Janet's point, so it's a single. One of our principles, we're going to have a single business case, what Paul said, which is efficient, so we can take everything together in the round. Income, liabilities, costs, and work out. So we obviously have to, if the other disadvantage of taking one out at a time is we'll take on something, then that'll cost X, and then we run out of money. So we need to know the full picture before we sort of sign up to anything. Yeah. So that's why we have a single business case. Freeholders default. So we've insisted that any land that we get is freehold. This goes back to Roger's point. I mean, in 1974, all this land was taken off Portishead Urban District Council, so the freehold moved with a clean title. So why it shouldn't come back freehold with a clean title? That's a principle, really. These have changed a little bit because we've developed them with the other towns and parishes. I can send you the principles, but they're sort of based on this, really, which is kind of, let's be fair. The other point Roger made, the good example is in Taunton, where Taunton Town Council didn't exist. So when Somerset went through this exercise, they basically set up Taunton from scratch with a funded town council and 20 councillors, and gave them all the land in Taunton. So that was the obvious. So if you start with a clean slate, it's the obvious thing to do, isn't it? Somerset obviously kept all of the adult social care and planning and all that kind of stuff, and they said to Taunton, anything, all the things we're talking about here, you take them on. So it's obviously a sensible thing to do. So okay, so
no, thank you, Paul. Really, sort of, it was insightful, and I think it's kind of watch this space, really, I guess, isn't it, in terms of the updates that we get, and hope it's progressive and pragmatic and positive, really.
Yeah, I mean, the fact we've got all the town and parish councils singing from the same hymn sheet, that's obviously powerful, and Alca, so that's every parish. We just need, Clevedon, but hopefully soon.
All right, so I mean, depending on the progress, we'll just keep a watching eye and make sure we've got an agenda point within this sort of committee meeting, I guess, going forward, even if it's to say that there's been no progress, really, I guess, in the last sort of period since, but no problem at all. Thanks, everybody, for your input on that. Okay, agenda item number 10, signposting and referrals officer report. Hope everybody's had a chance to read Claire's report there. So I know she's been off on annual leave for 1 week, but there's still 59 residents that have come through that she's been able to see across the 4 locations as well. So again, pretty similar demographic to what we have been doing, but I think everything's relatively settled now, isn't it, in terms of Fridays here, and people are well aware. I think there was one referral that came from the Beacon Hub, so it sounds like the message of where it's operating now has certainly come across. Any comments to Claire's report? Anybody at all? No, just a note of thanks, Sharon, please.
Just note that will be coming round. That's going to Sadiq and will be discussed on Friday. So please read it before Friday.
Yep. So that's the role of the town and parish councils in health and wellbeing report. Yeah. Okay, agenda item number 11, which is the folk hall replacement chairs and tables. So I'm sat on one, I'm seemingly all okay. So we've got a report to consider. Everybody's got their measuring tapes with them because there was quite a few numbers on the report itself. Yeah, bear with me a second. Let me just open it up.
When was it sent so I can find it?
So it was in the pack which Sharon shared originally. Just make it a little bigger. Okay, so in summary, where we are with the chairs that we've got across all of our halls, really, I guess. As you can probably see, the ones which you model them there, David, in terms of our current chairs, which are not up to standards in terms of where we are from a fire retardance point of view as well. We've got 140 chairs across the two venues, Northwestern and here. We've been looking for a number of months at the various different options, and we've included in the last month the replacement for the tables as well. So the report sort of pulls together the quotes that we've got for the replacement of the chairs and the tables. So we've whittled this down to 3 different options, various different sort of juggling, really, I guess, in terms of the options that we've got, both stacking safely, the movability, the materials, and how everything goes together. Mike, is there anything? Mike calls Mike. Is there anything that you want to add to, from a summary point of view, to anything that's in the report itself? Yep, no problem at all. Okay, so it's the purpose in terms of where we need to get to. We've got, as I said, there's 2 different chair options of the ones that I'm currently sitting in, so the kind of the sleigh versions, and then the banquet chairs, which are more akin to similarity to the ones that are the standard ones, but obviously the right material, lighter versions, but we need to take into account also, apart from the cost, and how they move around, and people being able to actually sort of move them about safely. The pads on some of them that we've got, certainly through the 2 halls, are broken, they're detached, so we've got a health and safety risk to people actually sort of jamming their fingers, and obviously just the usability of them, really, I guess. So has everybody had a chance to review? It was one that we postponed, obviously, given the options that we were looking at from the last week's meeting. Last month's meeting, sorry. It is a month ago. Yeah, I know. Time flies and you're having fun. So, pricing wise, going through the two options that we've got for, 3 options, but the 2 different fabric types on the chairs as well. So the Vesta chairs, which, as you said, is the type that I'm sat on at the moment, there's a fabric option and a vinyl option. And then there's an urban chair, which is similar design. Both of these are available with or without arms as well. Again, both fabric options there. And then the more, I guess, traditional version of the banquet chairs that are there as well. Pros and cons of each of them. I don't know if, Mike, is there anything that you want to...
Me?
Yeah.
Well, again,
you were
to answer any questions that arise, but yes, I wouldn't mind summing up. And
yeah, no, come forward, find a if you want to slide one of your aforementioned chairs up.
Well, they've both been sat on at the moment.
I'm not sure this chair's that comfortable.
No, I can see that. That's why I stood up.
That's fine. And David had his hand up as well, if he wants to.
Yes.
Just a question, Mike, if you're going to speak to the different chairs. The there's a massive difference in price, isn't there, between the two?
There is, yeah.
And it seems to me that the quote 3 for the banquet chairs, which are those ones there,
Yes.
and they've been functioning fine for us for how
Years and
many
years and years and years.
5 years. So I guess the question for you, Mike, is what sellers spending £5,000 more of public money on a different design chair? That's
Fair point. A very fair point, David, and which I'm sure a number of you were going to probably raise or ask. I find that these are boring to look at and rather dull in terms of the ambience in this hall and the wooden floor. There are some disadvantages, I feel. Having looked at them upstairs, here's one. It's got its missing rubber grommet in here, which means it's going to end up damaging this wooden floor, in my view. The stacking, whether they can go higher than 6, I don't really know. I'm speaking loudly, so that it sort of picks up on the mic. And it's alleged that they can be lifted off fairly easily with one hand. Well, yes, but the older you get, the weaker you get in your arms. And so they're not so easy to lift up with the handle, and they're probably to lift off like so, as indeed those are, the Vestas.
Say that again. Are the Vestas lighter?
Marginally lighter, yes. And they stack higher, but I do appreciate that in a stack of 25, which they can go, which is illustrated on your agenda papers, then they will be difficult to lift off as in the top. But given that the number in this hall is likely to be about 80, I would argue that in the current format, a stack in the corner of, say, 25 would be then sitting, probably not used very frequently. And the rest, with or without trolleys, could be against that back wall. Because the one thing we don't want is having chairs in front of these display cabinets down here. And as you can see, there are already 3 stacks there. So my argument would be that aesthetically, these are much nicer to look at. They're fabricated in Poland, they're chromed, so they're neater. They come in the 2 styles, the fabric and the faux leather. I've suggested having a mix so that the faux leather ones have arms, so that there's more support for elderly people and people that need a bit of support to get out.
If they wet themselves, it's not so bad.
I understand that the fabric ones will probably need cleaning in any circumstance, about once every 4 years, probably steam cleaned. So yes, clearly there's going to be a higher cost. Over a period of 15, 20 years, or however long these are going to last, they're going to look better, in my view, and I think it's more of an investment to have a nicer piece of furniture in this room, which, given the wooden floor, I think is an attractive room, and therefore my view is, and I know I'm responsible for a lot of this coming forward, is to have a better choice. Tonight, I can see that you're almost full committee. There are 8 of you here, but I was wondering whether we can have an amendment tonight brought forward to bring this to full council for a full vote in view of the fact that these chairs are going to be sat on by all councillors, and that I feel that given the fabric choice, which hasn't yet to be made, it would be better for all councillors to have a view on this matter.
Right. Whoa, chairs are popular tonight. Okay, right. So I think that was Roger, Bob, then Janet, if that's all right.
Seemingly the most important thing on the agenda tonight is what we're all going to stick our bottoms on.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just wanted to say that I spoke to somebody from the Disability Access Group, and they recommended that we had chairs in a variety of colours, some with arms, some without arms, to make sure that we were being fully inclusive on that. So I just wanted to make sure that was noted in there when we're thinking about it. If you're tempted to go, oh, let's have them all the same colour because that's nice and uniform, isn't it? But it turns out that's probably not the best way of doing things. So we want a mixture of colours and a mixture of styles as well for that. And I think these last ones have lasted us like 25 years or something like that. So this is a decision that we're going to have to live with, or our backside's going to have to live with for quite some time. Yes, as will the people who replace us over the next 25 years. But also, when you look at the cost difference between different options, if you take that over 20 or 25 years, it becomes a very, very small amount of money. So I think we should be concerned less with the actual cost today and more with getting something that's going to be good for the next 20 or 25 years.
Yep. Bob?
Yeah, so you're sitting on one, yeah?
I am.
So is that joining hooks at the sides?
Yes.
They will be admitted on any chair set.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, obviously, because we've only got one here and we haven't got one to adjoin.
Yeah.
Can we join them together to sort of see what distance is between the two? It's just obviously because some places you would. Right, so we couldn't have them join then. So do we have to add that bar on there then?
No. It's optional.
Okay.
So you're looking at the front of you are without the joiners.
Okay. Right. Thanks.
Janet, and then back to Jenny.
Excuse my language, but this chair is bloody uncomfortable. It's very thin, and I haven't got a great back at the moment, but this is really hurting me.
Which one's that? Oh, yeah, that's that one. Yeah, Sylvester.
It's a very thin pad, and I feel as if the back of my legs are scratchy against it because of the fabric. And also, it just isn't supporting my back. It's very uncomfortable indeed.
That's that one, .com then.
That's the Vesta afternoon. So we're back down to the Urban and the Banquet.
No, that's fair. It's fair. It's fair.
No, I'm not. Emma's sitting on the faux leather one.
It's a fabric ones.
Oh, okay. Well, the fabric ones, I think, have a marginally thicker cushion than the one Emma.
This is so awful compared to those ones over there that you're sitting on, which I've sat on for a long time.
Well, we know that these are going.
I know, but they're very comfortable chairs. So.
To Jenny and then to Paul, if that's all right, and then Mike.
Yeah. It's difficult to say what I was going to say, having heard what you've just said. And I was just going to suggest, why don't you try one of those chairs and see if it makes a difference now? If somebody can bring one of those over and see, because I mean, it is bonkers of taking all this time to decide on chairs. But if there was no difference in cost, I actually much prefer the lighter chrome, chairs, the more modern chairs. The bright colours in these two I don't like particularly, and the fact that you can stack 10, 20, however many of those, whereas these, they're just like a huge juggernaut stuck in the room, really. Whereas if you can get 20 of those together, they'll just go neatly in one place.
Yeah.
What we don't know is what the lifespan is going to be on them. And people have said, we've had these around for years. Fabric chairs, again, having to wash them. My brother's looks after a hall in the New Forest, and he spent 2 weeks last week cleaning all the fabric chairs. But I agree with Mike, actually. I think it should be a full council decision.
Yeah.
And I'd still like a bit more time just to come and lift them up and move them around and try stacking them and actually really feeling what are they like. But it's whether they're comfortable or not. Do we go back to, Roger said that he spoke to somebody from the Disability Access Group, and I'm going to go along to their meeting on, is it the 4th of September? So I could possibly stick a couple of chairs in the car and take them there, see what people think of them.
Yeah.
Anyway,
let's come to. Oh, sorry, Janet.
Oh, Emma, I am so.
No. Go on.
No, this is lower down on the back, and it supports my lower back. That feels as if it's sloping and my back is not got any support at all on my lower back. And that's my lower back. And most people with back issues, it's their lower back is a problem.
So Janet, these blue ones are the ones that have been upstairs. So you sat on them a lot. So have you been okay?
Enjoyed sitting on them.
They've always been okay. Okay.
I've always liked these ones. These are fine, but these are dreadful. I mean, I was beginning to think. I had a back small back operation yesterday, and I'm not great today, but I don't think I could sit on that for any length of time at all.
Let's come to Mike and then Paul, and then we'll agree what we do to move this on.
But these are fine. I mean, the thing is that this has got this bit here, right into my lower back, which that hasn't, and it feels as if you're almost falling through the back. It's not very nice. And it's very supportive under the legs as well, because it's quite a lot thicker than that. That is incredibly thin. And the other thing is that, I mean, I could sit on this for ages, but I can't sit on that, really. And
Mike.
In a way,
nearly Mike.
Right. I mean, my gut feeling is that the chairs that Janet selected are probably more supportive. It's my gut feeling, but I'm no expert. I think there is an issue about the colours. I think the colours we've got now are quite reasonable. I call this garish, if I'm honest. But I guess the question I was going to ask, and I'm sure Mike can answer it, is have these chairs been, I think the word is ergonomically checked and tested, because we really need some guarantees around that. And even chairs that are padded, is the padding going to last 20 years, or is it just only sound for a couple of years? So I think it's the comfort factor which is more important than the stacking.
And as far as I'm aware, thousands of these have been distributed around the country to various organisations, local authorities, cathedrals, churches, you name it, they've gone to them. And as far as I'm aware, everyone's been relatively happy with them, as I'm sure they are with the banquet ones.
Mike, did you want to come in on that? Yeah, please, thank you.
Do you want to choose a chair?
I think I can answer the longevity side of the chairs. If you look on the websites for the various different types, the guarantee on the Vesta is 5 years based on 7 days a week for 8 hours a day. The guarantee on the blue chair is 3 years on the same usage. However, we've got chairs here. The one I'm sat on is from Redcliffe Bay. They're 10 years old. They're showing little signs of wear other than some damage to the paintwork. The blue chairs are well over 15 years old, probably closer to 20. Yes, the feet are going. We can buy replacements. They're 40 pence each. So that becomes less of an issue. The average lifespan for a fabric chair is 15 to 20 years, after which it will require replacement. I understand that no cathedrals or large churches will use fabric chairs because they don't last as long as a solid based chair, which would typically last 100 years. And for that use, they recommend chrome plating because it's a long lasting surface. It's also incredibly polluting and incredibly poisonous to actually do, which is why some of the other quotes are for painted because it's better for the environment. But chrome does look better, but it's going to outlast the chairs by a factor of 5. But you can realistically be saying that these chairs, whatever we buy today, is going to be with us for 15 years. At which point we could be looking at recovering them, getting them refabricated, or new foam. The Vestas have the thinnest foam. The Urban is the same design. Basically, it's actually made in the Netherlands. They're both copies of an American design that's been around for many, many, many years. And Mike, you're absolutely right. They've been around for an awful long time, and they're in use in a lot of locations. The Urbans are thicker foam for the very reason that's been identified in terms of the comfort. Ultimately, it's down to what fit the purpose. I will say that if you stack 25 Vesta chairs, the top chair is at 6'5". It has to be lifted to at least 7'5" on a 45-degree angle and slid off to remove it.
Yeah, noted that in the report. So it's practically impossible to stack them safely to that height platform.
I can demonstrate it. I could actually take the two, put them. I would have to put them on top of two tables, one on top of another, and you could try and remove them. Yep. You would find it challenging. I would struggle with it, and I have handled. I estimate now I do 300 to 400 chair movements a week, so that's about 50,000 chair movements since I started with the council.
I can't do.
Mike, we would need them. Can you just confirm that we were told that these would have a guarantee of 10 years?
No, it's 5 years.
I thought you had extended.
It's a 5-year guarantee. That's what it says on the website.
How long are the banquet chairs guaranteed for?
3 years, but our experience of using them is that they've lasted without a single failure for 15 plus.
David, if we come quickly to you, and then again we'll work out what we need to do to move the point on.
What's the place manufacturer of the banquet chairs?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't be certain. I suspect most of them are probably made in Europe somewhere because it's cheaper.
Okay. Bob, quickly, and then.
Yeah, just to me, it's the simple phrase: stick to what you know, and I'd rather just stick to what we are used to. And we've all got to remember that a lot of us are getting older, and we're going to be around using these in a couple of years' time and going, "Oh, me back! Oh, I need a decent chair."
Yeah. No. Okay. So. I mean, there's a lot of. Thank you, Mike. Go on.
There is one other thing I would just say. If we opt for a banquet style chair, I'm not necessarily saying those. If we opt for a banquet style chair, they stack 8 high. You will get 10 rows of 10 stacks of 8 across the back wall, and they will only project forward from the back wall 66 centimetres. So the projection and the space taken up is minimal.
Thank you. Okay, so have we heard enough to get any kind of consensus with the committee members, or do we want to move this to full town council? Are we? Of course, yeah.
The banquet style chairs, are they available with and without arms?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
there was one other observation about banquet style. Sorry, Paul. Sorry. I won't even sit down. If we have arms on the chairs, in the 3.5, 4 years I've been working for the council, managing their halls, nobody has ever complained about having chairs without arms. What I will say about chairs with arms is that the arms are going to be quite narrow. The people who are most likely to need them are likely to be wider. You might find they're wearing the chair when they try and stand up.
Okay, so I think there might be a need, therefore, to particularly, certainly from Roger, your point as well, that there might be a need for us to actually provide a range of options, well, at least 2 options. One, to make sure that we've got something which can be termed as sort of accessible in terms of need. And then potentially a number of other chairs that we've got, that we can stack as well.
So that's already in the proposal. Like 20% would be have the arms, and then
but if the ones with the arms aren't fit for purpose, just because they're the same, it might mean that we just need two options of,
Sorry, what do you mean they won't be fit for purpose?
as Mike just pointed out, if they're narrow seated, and
Yeah.
it is, yep.
Sorry, on that point, the reason for having arms on chairs is if you have people who maybe are likely to fall or pass out whilst they're in the chair. That doesn't necessarily mean to say that they're for large people, or that large people are more likely to fall or pass out, but it's an option to have an option in the room for people who maybe feel unsteady. To have an option to be able to go into that
themselves as they sit and as they stand.
Yeah, if you knew that there was a potential for passing out during a meeting, but you still wanted to go there, then you'd opt for a chair with arms on it, so that if you did, you wouldn't fall off the chair onto the floor.
Yeah, it's not necessarily just the feedback from the disability access group, but I mean the dementia training and everything else that we've had as well. It's stability, isn't it, in that sense, in terms of what it is that we're looking for. So perhaps we are not at a point where we can actually make an entire decision, or not. But I'll be.
Can we get the banquet chairs in other colours apart from bright red and bright blue?
Yes.
Yeah. So what do we want to do? Vote? Do we want to make a decision this evening? Would we prefer to have? I mean, we're nearly all here if we extend to David and Mike.
I propose that we make a decision, because, as you say, everyone's here. We've had quite a long debate about it. I would, I think that we do need to listen to the Disability Forum. So we do need to have some chairs with arms on. A small, not many. We can just have half a dozen or whatever.
Just we've got the facility.
There's a few in each hall. I think that would be the right thing to do. They also are keen that the colour, whatever colours you have a contrast. So that's for people who are partially sighted. So although people might not like bright red and bright blue, but there are obviously other combinations. You can have the blue for the Portishead blue and a grey colour. It gives you a nice contrast. So that's so that people, I know my father-in-law was that he would not be able to see, if the colours were the same, you end up tripping over the chair. So, you just want them to be a contrast. So, but I mean, Mike, both Mikes have done a lot of work in this. I think we can make a decision, but maybe we can allocate a budget for them to go away and, fine tune exactly how many chairs with arms and, exactly what colours. Because I think everyone's heard the debate and we know what the functional requirements are. And at the end of the day, they're chairs, so they need to be functional. Okay, so
Jenny,
could I take 4 chairs along on the 4th of September and ask people's advice there, or we could get other people to come and try them out?
There is a point there, Jenny. The only people who were disabled there at that meeting last time was one person in a wheelchair and myself. There weren't any other people there. There was just the only people with any disability was me and the guy running it, Steve. So I doubt if there are going to be that many more people there.
Mike.
May I suggest, in view of what Paul's said in relation to having a budget, that in view of the fact that 40 of these, 40 going down to Northwestern, 60? Well, it's even more. So, for example, we could work out some form of budgeting accordingly to, say, put the banquets all down in Northwestern and maybe have Festas here, armed and not armed, and work out something in relation to dealing with it that way.
Mike, there is an issue. I found it very hard sitting on that Festa chair, but I wouldn't be able to do a lot.
Well, we can put some banquet ones here as well.
I think having...
But you can't put arms on the banquets. They're too narrow, aren't they? Well, for the majority of people, I think they would find it.
Sorry, is that not an option?
I thought we could have arms on the banquets, Mike. Yeah.
You can, but they will be quite tight.
We would have to look at an alternative. As
your suggestion was for a small number of items.
Yeah.
At each location, perhaps we look at something completely different for that person.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm sitting right behind you, Bob, and look, it's tight to the edge.
To be honest, you just need 3 or 4 at each location. That's what I was thinking. I personally, if we're going to do something for people with disabilities, I'd rather spend a bit more money on those chairs and make sure they're absolutely right for them. Yeah, pretty good.
Be good.
Yeah, so I think that to me. So personally,
So let's go through the quotes that we've got and a show of hands for the options that we've got to see whether we can progress it that way, and then make an amendment to add an additional element of budget. Sharon and Steve for additional chairs. We've got 5 options. We've got 5 options.
We have actually, Chair. We've had another option this submitted late this afternoon, which we haven't really had a chance to look at or even look at but it's for another banqueting chair, that one. So the chairs quoted. So the Vesta chairs with the fabric are quoted at 9,718.
Yep.
The Vesta chairs vinyl 10,288 for the required number. The Vesta chairs a split between fabric and vinyl 9,845. Urban chairs, the fabric versions, 11,989. The banqueting chairs, those bog standard chairs, 4,690. Now there is an alternative to that banqueting chair which would come in at 8 with lifts. 8. It would come in at 3,610. So the fact of the matter is that the banqueting chairs are by far the cheapest option, and we wouldn't need any special lifting gear for those. The tables.
We haven't even got on to the tables.
We're not. Oh right, okay. I thought we were going to get rid of it all in one go. There, Okay, so those are the prices we've got for chair. So I mean, what possibly would help is if you make a decision on whether you want to go for the more modern style or the traditional style, then you may want to then say that £5,000 could be allocated for the chairs, which could then be chosen. The colours and the specific model could be chosen then, but we would know we were buying banqueting chairs.
Yeah.
And you could.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll propose that we buy the banqueting chairs and we allocate £5,000 to Mike to go and get the banqueting chairs and any few additional specific ones that are required for people with disabilities. Yeah. So I propose that. Do I have a seconder? Bob, all in favour of that one? So,
thank you, Chair. Thank you.
So we've got 5,000 allocated to that.
I didn't see a vote against.
All right, we got 5-4. Who's Chair? You need to say who's against.
Who's against? Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Is stay because I came in with a very firm view that I liked these because I like the look of them. But listening to the debate, I might be open to change my mind, and I haven't yet decided.
Fair enough.
Anyone else who hasn't either abstained or against?
No. I think that was.
Don't need vote.
Yeah.
We have one against. Although there's no. Yeah.
Yeah. We've got one abstention.
One abstention.
That's clear.
I don't have a vote.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just didn't vote.
Okay.
Roger, give them a vote. I'm not.
Yeah, I vote for the proposal.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Carried, Chair.
Carried.
Right.
Just whether we just need to, whether we can add a second element of the amendment in regards of budget for the additional chairs.
Yeah, I think well, that's what I proposed. Well, it given we've just got a lower quote than 4,600, I would have thought £5,000 was enough to buy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, plus VAT, 5,000 plus VAT, which enables Mike to be able to go and look at some other specific ones.
Explore the budget option yet. What I have seen is they're heavier than anything we've considered by a kilo, 20%. And they don't have the guarantee. It's only 1 year and no usage load limit. So it might.
Yeah, it might not be that easy, but anyway, if you could have a look at it, and then if there's nothing feasible, well, there's nothing feasible. Yeah. Something else. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Hopefully this is an easier element in terms of the tables, because they are pretty much exactly the same as what we've got now. So there is a lighter version, which is the Easy Lift table. But again, from a health and safety point of view, the knuckle arms that we've got on these ones are wearing. So once they are stacked back where they needed to be, the legs are falling out as well. So I think it's probably an easier say-so in terms of what we need to do around the tables.
Personally, I think if we can have the lighter, I'll go for the lighter option, because these are fine, but they're always a bit. They're quite heavy, and you can easily drop them on your foot, as I've done.
Yeah.
Which is not fun. Thank you for the support, Mike. So I think personally, I would pay the extra £500 and have the sort of lighter ones.
So that's the Easy Lift and the quantity of 20. Sorry, Bob.
Yeah, being one that likes recycling, and I am sure that some of these are not suitable to be used again once we get the new ones. But obviously, there's a lot of community groups that might want to use these tables. So should we offer them to them?
Yeah. Once we can check them out to make sure that they're safe to be able to do so, I would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, for a start, the food bank would probably jump at the chance of using these, because
we can
the ones they're using
get in touch with the youth centre or the scouts and pubs or guides and whatever. Yeah, we can see what we can do. Okay. So do we need to do a second proposal in terms of the table? Because we've only budgeted 5,000 for that. So
suppose we go for the Easy Lift and the quote that's given.
Yeah. So it's £3,107.50 plus the VAT.
Anyone like to second that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Jenny, second it. All those in? Sorry.
Not really, no.
No, apparently no.
Not really according to the law, no.
So all of those committee members who can vote for that, yes, that's unanimous. Well, thanks everybody for the chairs and tables discussion.
Wow.
We were going so well.
We should have sat on it longer.
Item number 12, which is for approval of the invoice. This is for Able Investigations and Enforcement, who were the company that helped with the sort of unlawful land incursion at the football club. So I can propose that. It's £4,788 new pence. And what is that?
Because I'm not a committee member.
I was going to say.
No, I was just going to ask a question on that one. So this was for removal of the travellers
from the Portishead Town Football Club.
From the football club. Is this the total cost? And can we just say it again out loud? That's £4,788. It has cost the residents of Portishead to deal with this problem. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
That is correct, and it's well said. Can I just add that Sharon has been doing some investigation. You spoke to the Able Investigations head, Steve Wood, is he called, I think. Yeah. You had a meeting with him, but I mean, it's a very difficult problem. Of course, we can move them on, but the problem just appears somewhere else. So it's not a solution. But there was a Supreme Court judgment last year, which means that it is possible for a local authority, and including the town council, to kind of make Portishead there's a newcomers law, so you can sort of ring fence Portishead and say you're not allowed to pitch up your caravans within the boundaries of Portishead, and if you do, you can be immediately removed. We understand it might cost £10,000 to set that up. To start with, it's fairly new. Wolverhampton Council seem to have done it. So the Office of Staff are going to have a look at it to see whether that's something, well, to understand how it would work. But obviously, if we already own Kilkenny Fields and the football club, we would have had another £10,000 on top. So it would have cost us £15,000 this summer alone. And we've had the same episodes. Well, I think since I've been involved with it, we've had 7 in 7 years. So it's something to consider. But anyway, that was just really informational to let the people know that was happening. So.
Mike and then Janet. Yep, Janet.
Question for Roger. I'm aware that about 8 years ago, there was a proposal that North Somerset Council should put a travellers' field with facilities available within North Somerset for travellers. Has that been done?
No, it hasn't. There are some sites. There's a managed site, isn't there, out by Hewish. I don't know if anyone's seen it yet. I was on planning, substituting for Tim the other day, where the planning committee turned down 2 applications for travellers' sites against the recommendations of the officers. So that will be back at the next planning committee. But it was 7 to 5, I think, 8 to 5. So it's likely to be turned down again, I would guess, which is very sad. I mean, one of them was next to an existing travellers' site, which it seemed to be nonsensical. There was a lot of talk about them being flood areas, but I would hazard a guess that as the one next to it is also in exactly the same flood area, but managed to get planning, the flood area issues were more of a reason to refuse rather than the reason to refuse. Equally, I noted that a few months ago in a flood area of the same zone, we allowed a chicken barn to be turned into 2 bungalows, because of course those bungalows were going to have permanent dwellers in and not travellers, or so it would seem, because suddenly the reason for, I mean, we overturned the officers' one on the bungalows, and now nonsensically we're not doing the same for the travellers. So it feels as if there's some local politics playing out in that. But the overall answer to your question, Janet, is no, they haven't. It's a transit camp, it's called, isn't it? And they haven't put a transit camp in. And the main reason they haven't put a transit camp in is because no one wants it, except for the travellers. Because, you know, wherever you go, wherever you put up planning permission and say, can we do this here? There's a massive protest. And that's what makes it really, really difficult to do. But we need to, because this problem could go away if we had a suitable transit camp somewhere in North Somerset. Anyone want to volunteer for it to be anywhere near to them? Please put your hands up.
Thank you, Roger. Okay, so back to the agenda point itself. I can propose this. If anybody wants to second. Yep, Paul second. Is that everybody? Committee members in favour? It is, yes.
So can I just add, we are sending Able Investigations a testimonial for them to put on their website, which Sharon has written, because they did a tremendous job. And yeah, they did it. They were very professional, very calm, and you know, they made it a lot easier than it could have been. So it was good.
I don't know.
Can I also pay tribute to the work of your deputy clerk, who's actually worked her socks off to achieve the outcome there? It was absolutely remarkable. So well done, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. Okay, so that fetches us to item number 13, which is our communication plan. So the three things that I had noted from earlier was the Wellspring Listeners Service, which was the service that they're setting up for the 11 to 16-year-olds. A summary in the devolution update, Paul, or?
Yeah, I think probably the consultation slides we should put out.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we can do that.
Yeah.
And then Bob, if you want to use some of those for the bus stops or whatever, you're welcome. But I guess if Amy puts out a communication, maybe Rog, you can pick it up.
Sorry, Paul. I just wanted to ask something. I know something that we've spoken about before. I believe there's statistics on the number of people who viewed the information.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be really good if the general public knew how many people had viewed the information, because of course not everybody wants to do a consultation, but lots of people view it.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll include those viewing figures with what we've on. The only other item.
4,585.
Okay.
So although there were 658 respondents, there are actually 756 contributions. So as well.
Bob?
Yeah, Paul, I just made a note. When you were showing the graph, it didn't show the 150. You were talking about the £150 spend. It doesn't put that in the statement. Could you put that in the statement so we could?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Add that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
And then the last thing on my list, anyway. I don't know if we would be in favour of sharing the Great Western Ambulance the fundraising link that they've got.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
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 Okay.
And
Yeah. We'll wrap that up with Turn the Tide as well. Okay. Any other items to add to that? No. Okay. So date of next meeting then, Wednesday, 24th of September, same time, same place. And yeah, indeed. And then, we shall close the meeting. It is 21:01. Thank you, everybody.